Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Welcome to Hong Kong Confidential. I'm Jules Hannaford and I'm your host. I'm an Australian woman and I've been living in Hong Kong for many years. I'm a mother, a teacher, an author, and I want to share my wisdom and the wisdom of others with you. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you enjoy the show.
You meet someone online and there's this instant connection. It's amazing how much the two of you just seem to click. They live somewhere far away and there's some plausible reason they can't travel to meet you. They tell you they're in love with you and you feel optimistic for the first time in a long time. They have a successful career, yet somehow they need money from you to solve a short-term problem, always with the promise of paying you back. Time goes on and they need more money more urgently. You've started to see the cracks and begin to wonder whether they've been lying this whole time. All of a sudden it hits you. You've been scammed. Fool Me Twice is the story of my mother, Jules Hannaford, a woman who was drawn into the dangerous world of sweetheart scams. After a trip overseas to meet a stranger, a dangerous altercation in a Manchester hotel room, and thousands of pounds lost for good, she's here to tell her story. Fool Me Twice, a true crime podcast, is available on Apple Podcasts, Ozcast Network, and anywhere you listen to your podcasts.
Today I'm here with Crystal Talani. Hi, Crystal. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you here. So, Crystal, where are you from and how did you end up in Hong Kong?
So I was actually born and raised in Hong Kong to Indian parents. And so I studied in Boston and came back to Hong Kong a couple years back.
Oh, cool. What did you study while you were in Boston?
So I studied in Boston University with a major in international relations and a minor in advertising, which has precisely nothing to do with what I'm doing right now.
That's okay. That's cool. We've all done that. My daughter did about 4 degrees and she only uses a couple of them. No, that's not true. She uses all of them. Tell me a bit about why you decided to start 852 Prints and what is it?
So 852 Prints is a Hong Kong-inspired lifestyle brand with the goal to be as eco-friendly as possible. And I started 852 Prints for a culmination of reasons. And I can get into the short version or the long version.
Give me the long version.
The long version. Ooh. So we're going to start back from when I was in primary school. I have quite a strong entrepreneurial streak. So back when I was 7, I was selling stationery to my classmates at a markup of 10 cents a pop. And I kind of felt guilty about it, but I got a little bit of teasing from my family, but in the end, they're really supportive. And I also grew up around a lot of entrepreneurs. So I think it was something that I kind of had the knack for and wanted to do down the line. I was kind of pushing it off a little bit, but when it came to the end of 2019, I was like, you know what? 2020 is my year. It's a great number. I'm turning 25. Let me just go for it. And on top of that, I feel like I have quite a strong creative streak. It's something that I need to express routinely to, I want to say get it out of my system, but I don't think that's the right word for it.
Well, creativity is so good for the soul, isn't it? It's really just great for your well-being. And I don't know, there's something about it that I think makes you feel really good about yourself when you're being creative. Yeah. The listeners can't see, but I've got a painting behind me on Zoom that I painted myself. So
it's so lovely. Yeah, I wish you guys could see it.
Yeah. I'm really into creativity, I think, and hence doing a podcast because that's creative as well. But
and multiple as well.
Yeah, exactly. So you discovered that entrepreneurial streak in you when you were a child, and then you started to realize that you had creativity. And I guess, did you decide that you wanted to do this after you'd finished your degree?
Yeah, my sister is a huge source of encouragement in my life. And so when I told her that I was moving back to Hong Kong, she kept telling me to start my own business. her reasoning was that I'm living with my parents, I'm not paying any rent. This is the best time to do it before you kind of have to get serious about your career and all that. So I had that looming in the back of my mind, and I definitely agreed with her. It was a great time to kind of kick things off. And I've always been into drawing my own greeting cards back in high school. And I have such a deep love for Hong Kong. And it's something that I realized when moving back. I felt like when I was growing up here, I didn't see Hong Kong with fresh eyes. And I'd have like family come into town and talk about how much they loved Hong Kong and how beautiful it was. And I had difficulty seeing it because I obviously grew up with it. It was my backyard. Like it was no different to anything else. But when I moved back to Hong Kong and was doing interviews around the city, I saw it with a fresh set of eyes and immediately knew that I wanted to do something related to Hong Kong.
What sort of things do you have at 852 Prints, and how are they linked to Hong Kong?
So we have greeting cards, teas, phone cases, and tote bags. And they're just like the little things that kind of make you appreciate Hong Kong. So I've got the lucky cat. I've got the taxi with the Cross Harbor Tunnel hand signal. I've got the Aqua Luna. I've got the little soy fish that come with the supermarket sushi. And just like the little things that you kind of miss when you're away from Hong Kong and appreciate more when you have them again.
Oh, isn't that lovely? And have you created these designs yourself, or do you come up with the idea and get someone else to design them?
I design everything myself. So
wow,
another reason. Thank you.
Because I looked at your website and your designs are fantastic. I love them.
Oh, thank you so much. That's actually another reason why I started 852 Prints. Graphic design is something that I wanted to pursue, but I never really had the confidence in my own art. And I kind of wanted to get a job in graphic design, but I knew I didn't have the skills just yet. So 852 Prints was my way of kind of learning as I went along. And I know myself a little too well. I can't just learn something without having a goal in mind. I need to be able to apply it as soon as I learn it. And this is one of the ways that I was doing that. And still am doing that.
Oh, that's awesome. When did you launch the company?
I actually launched a day before Hong Kong announced its first coronavirus case, but I was working on designs back in December.
Okay, so you launched in January 2020.
Yeah.
The coronavirus kicked off and you launched. And has it been going well? And do you just do it online? You don't have a shop, do you?
I'd say our main channel is online. However, we're hoping to get stocked in more stores in Hong Kong. At the moment, my greeting cards sell at Anya on Hollywood Road and at Ethos, which is in Sai Ying Pun.
Well, do you think that you'd like to expand and actually create your own shop, or do you feel like doing it online is a really good way to do it? Because a lot of people shop online these days, don't they?
Yeah, so I think for now, online is where it's at for me. 852 Prints is still quite new. I've only been around since January. Yeah, at the moment, I don't have the funds to do something in person, and I think it's still quite a new business. So I'd like to wait and see how it goes. Before I invest further.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you have a daytime job, do you? You mentioned that this is a side hustle. So what's your career?
852 Prints is a side hustle to my day job. I work as a digital marketer for a ed tech startup called Go Skills. We do online courses for business skills.
Why did you decide to do 852 Prints as your side hustle? Was it just because you wanted to get your creativity out, or are you looking to kind of build your own business and become an entrepreneur in the future?
It's a bit of both, actually. So with my day job, while I do digital marketing, my work isn't as creative per se. So I do a lot of writing, but I don't do illustration or anything that's punny per se. So it's something I definitely wanted to express in my free time and kind of build up the skills for. And obviously, if 852 Prints turns out to be a great success down the line, then more than happy to do that as a full-time job, but quite happy with my current job at the moment.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. So you can just wait and see how it grows and develops over the time. So that's awesome.
Pretty much.
So would you call yourself an entrepreneur?
I think I'd hesitate to call myself an entrepreneur, but I think I should maybe live up to the title.
Yeah, I think you should. You're definitely a startup entrepreneur. You're just kicking off in a very difficult time as well. What are some of the skills that you think you need to run your company?
I'd say there are two things that are key in running a business, at least a small one. The first being confidence. And by that, I mean the confidence in your abilities to kind of figure things out as it goes along. I feel like most people are hesitant to start their own business because it seems quite daunting. And you're never going to be 100% ready to jump headfirst into anything. So you need to just be able to trust yourself to figure it out as it comes along. And two, I'd say creativity is very important too. Getting your product in front of people's eyes is a tricky one. If you're emailing people, your email is just going to be one of many in their inbox. So marketing yourself by maybe giving your product to influencers or stalking editors on Instagram and following them and letting your name get out there in a way that's a little bit more unconventional. So I'd say those two things are quite key.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And maybe the fact that you've lived in Hong Kong for such a long time, you might have quite a few connections as well, which always helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really, really helps. So actually, someone I went to high school with is now the editor of Hong Kong Living. And she's been super sweet in helping me get my name out there.
Oh, isn't that lovely? Oh, great. Hong Kong Living have been really fabulous to me as well. They've done a lot of little reviews on my podcast and stuff like that. So yeah, they're fantastic.
Great publication.
Yeah, awesome. Crystal, why is it important for you for your products to be eco-friendly?
As a millennial, I feel like I've seen a lot of changes go on in our environment. Growing up, I lived fairly close to Kowloon Park, and we'd see so many birds around and like urban wildlife, I guess you'd say. But over the years, you see fewer birds. When you go kayaking, there's more litter in the oceans. And I didn't want to start a business knowing that I would be contributing to the mess. So in whatever way possible, I try to be as green as I can. Obviously, that I can't be fully carbon neutral just yet and on a limited budget, but I'm hoping to get to that level.
Yeah, I think it's important. And I think that makes your products more appealing to the consumers as well, if they know that you're eco-friendly, because I think there's such a movement towards it in this day and age, which is really great to see.
For sure.
Tell me about your tongue-in-cheek cards. Where did the ideas come from that? And is this linked to your sense of humour?
Yes, for sure. So not going to lie, I kind of wanted to be a stand-up comedian, but just did not have the chops for it or like the confidence to do it.
Brilliant.
And most of my cards actually stem from little jokes that I've shared with friends and comments that we've had. So for example, one of our Valentine's cards features a minibus with the caption, "You make my heart race." And we always joke about how like our minibus drivers think they're on the sets of like Fast and Furious. And it was just a little way to kind of inject like,
yeah, that is brilliant. And for any listeners out there who don't live in Hong Kong, we've got these little minibuses and the drivers drive like absolute maniacs. So for anybody in Hong Kong, they would absolutely get the humour in that straight away. That's absolutely brilliant. And what about your tees? Like your T-shirts are really quite quirky, aren't they?
Yeah, I'd say they're quirky, but also quite wearable. So when I was in Boston, I always wanted to bring back souvenirs for my friends. And I found that the options over in Hong Kong were kind of limited. You either get like the super tacky tees from like Mongkok or whatever, or like tees with slogans that are just like entirely not wearable on a daily basis. Or you get like the super expensive Shanghai Tang stuff, which as a college student, I never had the budget for. And so I wanted to create something that was well crafted, so 100% cotton, but also affordable and wearable, but also unique to Hong Kong.
And do you have a favorite?
It's tough to say, but I'd say my Cross Harbor taxi tee is a favorite. It actually started as a gift to one of my friends who I always get stuck in cabs with on the way home from Lan Kwai Fong. And we share just great drunken memories together in those cabs. So I'd say that one is my favorite.
And there's a sentimental value behind it because it's a shout out to your drunken mate.
Yeah.
That's so nice. I love it. Yeah, I think that there's some really great gifts there, potential gifts there for people if they're looking for something really uniquely Hong Kong sort of in its style and its imagery, but also you've got eco-friendly and affordable, which is really, really nice.
Yeah.
Are most of your products one of a kind? Did I read that somewhere, or do you reproduce?
The reason I say one of a kind or almost one of a kind is because I create my products in limited runs. So I only have 10 of each greeting card in store. And with my t-shirts, I create them on demand. So this is an effort to reduce waste. A lot of clothing ends up in landfills, and I don't want to be a part of that problem. And also, because we're such a new company, I didn't want to invest the capital in purchasing shirts in all different colors and all different sizes and not knowing whether it would be successful or not. So we're still creating clothes on demand, but hopefully we'll get to the point where we can create them in limited batches as well.
That's such a good idea, because I've been doing a lot of research lately, and I did an interview with Sarah Gardner from Recycle, and we were talking about textile waste and textile landfill, and it's such a huge problem. So I think it's so commendable that you're doing something to make sure that that doesn't happen while you're still running your business. And in a way, it's really great that you're in Hong Kong, where you can get these one-off or small batches of T-shirts made quite cheaply and quickly, can't you? I think it might be harder in other countries.
Yeah, it's good to be close to the source.
Which is China.
Yes, but I try to keep production within Hong Kong as much as possible.
Oh, do you? Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, why is that?
So I'm all about supporting the local businesses. I really want to ensure that our economy thrives as well. I don't see this just as me running a business. I see this as more of an ecosystem for sure. So if I'm spending anything, I'd like to spend it with a Hong Kong company.
Yeah, that's really admirable as well. That's so nice to hear. Recently, you've been revamping 852 prints. So what's been involved in the revamp?
That's correct. So I initially was working with a supplier based in the US and in Europe. So they also did on-demand dropship tees. And once the virus hit, their shipping times to Hong Kong extended from about a week and a half to a month and a half. And that was entirely unacceptable. I mean, thankfully, I had customers that were super understanding and didn't get too pissed off along the way. But I had to take a few days off work and kind of go around Hong Kong to places I've never been before, like Chun Wan and down the Green Line, to find suppliers that would be willing to work with me on like limited batch terms. And thankfully, I found a few people that were happy to do so.
Can you speak Cantonese?
Very poorly.
Okay. Did you need to have Cantonese to be able to broker these kind of deals and make these connections?
So the people I was speaking with spoke English pretty well, so I didn't need to rely on any Cantonese. But I think cool. I did. Yeah, I think I did miss out on getting some good deals because the people I did speak with were English speakers. And so I think I maybe lost out a little bit.
Yeah, you should have taken a Cantonese speaking friend with you.
I should have.
And you write a blog. Is your blog linked to 852 Print?
Yes. So I started it, I'd say like a month into our Hong Kong lockdown. I say this with finger air quotes. Again, it was important to me to kind of shed a spotlight on other local businesses who were kind of making it through this time. So I interviewed a few people that are doing and still doing really cool things to kind of give them some publicity and maybe get a little bit myself. So again, with being creative and using your creativity to get your name out there.
You're kind of doing like a cross-promotion thing with other companies, or sort of cross-linking with them.
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh, that's really great. And has that helped your sales, do you think?
This was like in the middle of COVID time, so our sales were a little non-existent then.
Sure.
But it definitely did help with gaining exposure on Instagram.
Oh, perfect. Is Virginia one of these people?
She wasn't. I actually met her because I was planning a beer tour with her.
So for the listeners out there, we're talking about Virginia from Humid with a Chance of Fish Balls, and she runs a tour group. And I actually interviewed her quite a long time ago, and that's the title of the podcast interview, but she's quite amazing. You're actually doing a project with her, and it's for Chinese New Year. Is that right? Can you tell me a bit about this?
Yes, it's a little tentative, but we're planning on doing a charity coloring book for Chinese New Year featuring the best street food Hong Kong has to offer. And we will be donating a percentage of the proceeds to charity. We haven't decided which one yet, but most likely a food one.
Oh, I love that. And so will people be able to buy that colouring book on your website?
Yes, that's the plan. And on her website as well.
Oh, great. That's amazing. And you're hoping to launch it around Chinese New Year time?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, how cool. How did this idea for this project come about?
We met a few weeks ago and we hit it off immediately. And immediately we're brainstorming ways that we could work together. And so at the moment, we're doing a Hong Kong themed giveaway. So that's this week. But if this podcast is launched, when I think it's going to be launched,
yes, it won't be done. Yeah, it'll be yes, it won't be for a while. So listeners would have missed your giveaway. But tell us what it
sorry
is
you missed out.
so we can be envious. So what are you doing this week that my listeners can't have anything to do with?
So it's a 3-week-long giveaway with 16 local brands. So this last week, it was companies and services that are doing active related products. So we've got deodorant, we've got a one-on-one sports psychology session. We have some acro yoga sessions in there. And next week we have the Hong Kong related giveaway. So that's where Virginia and I and a few other fantastic businesses come in. And finally, the last giveaway is a cozy giveaway. So we have candles and tea and chocolates from all local businesses.
Oh, isn't that great? What a cool thing to do. That's so innovative. It's really kind of like COVID, which has impacted businesses so much, is forcing people to think outside the box and forcing you to be creative about the way that you capture people's interest or that you sell your products or that you make connections with other businesses. So would you say that COVID has really had an impact on your way of thinking as a business owner?
I couldn't say that it has because I launched my business right before COVID hit.
All right, so you only know a business in COVID, don't you? You don't know a business outside of COVID. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, but what I will say is that I have become a little more thrifty with the way I market myself. So earlier on, I would reach out to magazines and their quotes for getting featured on a listicle or an article was a little too steep for what I was able to agree to. And through doing the blog with other local entrepreneurs and viewing entrepreneurship as an ecosystem, I saw this giveaway as a great opportunity to kind of promote each other and get eyes on some really great Hong Kong made products. So super excited to share it with people that follow us.
Yeah, so that's a great idea. And do you use Instagram quite a bit for sales and for getting business? Is that sort of one of your biggest sort of advertising platforms?
Yeah, for sure. It's such a visual platform, and I think it helps people get their eyes on what you have to offer.
Yeah, and all of your products are very visual, aren't they? They're visually very appealing. You're not selling like a massage or things like that. You're selling actual products that people can see. So Instagram could work really well for that.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd say that my audience skews a little younger, so it's the right platform for us to be on.
So do you feel like your audience or your clients are kind of like millennials and 20-somethings?
I'd say 20-somethings to about to 40s. Mm-hmm. It's quite a young crowd, which is really nice.
Oh, that's so cool. Do you get more and more followers on Instagram and your sales are increasing with the followers? Can you see a correlation?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely the more followers I gain, the more I get sales, and the more influencers or people that wear my products and tag it on their stories, the more sales I get as well.
How do you get an influencer to wear your stuff or to promote your stuff on their blog or on Instagram?
It's all about the shameless messaging.
So you slide into their DMs?
That's exactly it.
Do you? And people actually respond because they like your products?
Yeah. I mean, I've had more misses than I've had hits for sure, but it's all about leveraging your existing connections and just being creative about the way you approach people.
Can you give me some tips on how I could approach people if I wanted to get influencers to promote my podcast?
The secret sauce?
Yeah. What are some of your tips for approaching influencers?
Okay, so I've definitely leaned on friends of friends who are doing well on social media, who have been nice enough to offer me a discounted rate or who've been understanding that I don't exactly have the budget to pay them for the posts. And thankfully, when I do send them the products, they become fans of it and are happy to promote them once they have them in their hands. So I guess the key part is just getting a product in people's hands and offering them a freebie, as opposed to, oh, will you do this for me in exchange for me doing this for you? It's more like here, take my things, do what you will with them.
And then people do happen to post them because that's the world that we live in these days, where people were doing a lot of their kind of everyday stuff online.
Yeah, for sure.
See, that's such a good idea. Yeah, giving a giveaway. Cool. Yeah. I love it. So what do you love most about starting this 852 print business? What's your favorite thing about it all, would you say?
I think it's like being able to express myself creatively is a common thread throughout this podcast. And I also mentioned earlier that I was into comedy, but just did not have the guts to kind of go up and give it a shot. So this is one way to kind of be funny in a more introverted way.
Yeah. You don't have to do it in front of an audience. Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Look, I think your products are just fantastic. I absolutely love them, and I will purchase them for gifts for people for sure. They're really, really fab. Yeah, I love them. And I definitely did get a giggle and a smile on some of the things that you do. So they're great. What do you think your biggest challenge is, or what's the most frightening thing about what you're doing, apart from being on this podcast? I'm kidding.
So number one, speaking to Jules, who's the most lovely person ever. I'd say number two is kind of not knowing where it's going. So over this year, I've been so close to shutting shop, being like, I've only invested a few months into this. Like, is there any point in kind of chugging along with this? And thankfully, I've had like a really supportive boyfriend and really supportive friends and family who've been like, no, just like give it another month, see where it goes. Like, why shut down?
Yeah, you should stick with it. You really should. You've got a great product, and I really think it could take off. And it is quirky and unique and funny and just so intrinsically Hong Kong that I think people are really going to love it. And I really think it will take off. And I hope that this podcast can help it take off as well. I really do. Yeah. So don't worry about the imposter syndrome. Grab it by the throat. Keep going with it. And I think you're going to do really, really amazingly well, because your product speaks for itself. And you are doing a really, really good job. And look at the great ideas that you're coming up with. Look at the way that you're thinking outside of the box to build your business. It's really, really impressive, considering you've only been going for 6 months.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well,
7, 8.
Coronavirus
8 months.
time. It's however long.
Yeah, what month are we in? But yeah, I'm so impressed, and you should be really proud of yourself. So what are your plans for the future for 852 Prints?
My plans for the future. So hoping to expand my product line. So have another collab with Virginia. We're going to do a Mahjong tote bag and a Mahjong water bottle.
Oh, I love Mahjong. I want that. I want you to let me know. I absolutely love Mahjong. We play all the time.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
I'll send you some stuff.
Those products come out. I'm happy to buy them. Just let me know when they're out, and I'd love to get them. Sorry, keep going. I interrupted you.
No.
What else are you going to do?
Christmas cards. So we have some funny ones coming up. So we have Joy to the World, and we have a Rudolph getting temperature gun with a really cute caption. So you'll have to just wait for that. And I guess I can't really commit to too much because I still have a full-time job alongside of this. So kind of just balancing both work and the fun work of 852 Prints.
Well, good for you. I'm so impressed, Crystal. It's really amazing what you're doing. And I think it's just great to see a young woman putting herself out there, like creating her own company, becoming an entrepreneur, own it.
Thank you. I am an entrepreneur.
Yeah, totally. And I really wish you the best of luck. I really do. And it's been so lovely hearing about your journey and your products. And I really do hope that people will check out your website and buy some of your products. So for my listeners out there, come on, get on the website and check it out. So can you tell my listeners how they can find 852 Print?
Yes, I can. It's www.852prints.com, and you can find us on Instagram at 852prints.
Perfect. I'm going to put those links in the show notes as well so people can find you. Let me know if I've been able to help increase your business,
yes, I will.
Instagram. Let me know if my listeners and I have worked as a team to help a young up-and-coming entrepreneur in Hong Kong get her business off the ground that's been struggling during COVID. So I'm so proud of you for sticking at it. Keep going. Thank you so much for talking to me today. It's been so lovely.
Oh, likewise.
Yeah, it's been really lovely to meet you, and I'm going to definitely buy some of your products. So thanks so much for chatting to me today, and give my love to Virginia, and good luck with your projects, okay?
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been such an honor to be on your podcast. You've had such an impressive list of guests, so it's humbling to be one of them.
It's so lovely to have you. It's been a pleasure, and I've loved meeting you, and it's just such a heartwarming story. And I just love the idea of the humor and the creativity all bundled into a little 25-year-old woman's business. That's amazing. So
Thank
good
you
luck
so
to
much.
you. And for my listeners out there, if this is something you've enjoyed and you'd like to help people find Crystal and 852 Prints, please share this podcast with them. And if you can go to iTunes and rate and review us, that'll help me get up the iTunes charts, and it will help more people find Crystal and her wonderful business. And you don't have to be from Hong Kong to enjoy her products. I think that anybody from anywhere around the world can enjoy the products. So thanks again, Crystal. It's been absolutely wonderful meeting you, and I hope to see you soon.
See you soon. Bye. Thank you.
Hi, Confidants. I want to tell you about my Patreon page. I've joined Patreon in the hope of getting sponsorship for my Hong Kong Confidential podcast. Patreon is a great way for my listeners to get on board and sponsor me with monthly payments, and that goes towards my production costs and rewards for my members. If you're interested in checking out my Patreon page, please go to patreon.com and search up Jules Hannaford or Hong Kong Confidential. I would really appreciate you visiting my page. So that brings us to the end of another Hong Kong Confidential podcast. I'm Jules Hannaford. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you'll be with me again next week. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please can you go to iTunes to rate and review it. I would really appreciate your feedback. You can email me at jules@hongkongconfidential.net, and you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Hong Kong Confidential. If you'd like to hit me up on Twitter, it's at Jules Hannaford. I would love to hear from you.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.